Hello, everybody. It is Tuesday evening. I just finished watching the President's State of the Union address, and that's always interesting. Anyway, another thing that I accomplished today was I looked at your short projects number 4, the interview questions that you posed for the school board's pilot program. And I took some of those questions that you put together at random, things that kind of struck me. And I want to show you a couple of things. Normally, I would want to do this in class, but because, again, we lost 8 hours of in-class instruction this semester, I'd rather use that time doing something else and give you this to look at outside of class. So I'm going to share my screen with you. It's not going to take long, but I want to get to it, get right into it. And what I'm going to talk to you about is interview questions, problems, and some solutions for them. These are some do's and don'ts, things that I found in the questions that you presented. And so hopefully you'll find this useful. Some of you, actually a number of you, posed questions similar to this. They don't all read exactly like this, but in what ways do you think this will benefit the school? How will this program benefit your daily life? The problem with this type of question is that the reporter is assuming the program will actually benefit the source. And until the program gets underway or until you speak to people, you don't really know that. So you can't assume that it will. That kind of leads your subject into a specific way of answering. A solution is to premise your question by pulling context from what you already know, like this. Superintendent Greg Hubbard said this program will allow parents to drive to work with their children and enjoy lunch with them each day. Is that something you would look ahead to? Tell me about your situation and what you would like to see. Here's another question that was written. How do you like the equipment that has been given to your classroom, to teach? Is it good enough? It's a great question. It's an excellent question, but there is a major problem with it. It's too early to ask because the classrooms have not yet been built. You need to use only the information that you have. So always ask questions based on what you know to find answers to what you don't know. And here's an example of what we're talking about. Hubbard said that the school district will spend $10,000 to equip each classroom. And that that was given to you. You have that information, so you know that to be true, or you know that that's what he said, that part is true. What equipment and technology do you have in your classroom now that you will need when the new rooms are built? So that is the way that you want to pose that particular question. Another one, why are there only 20 school districts in the country trying this idea? The problem with this is the word only. The word only suggests that you might have an opinion that 20 schools, isn't enough, that more should be doing this. And it might be unintended, it might be an unintended bias, but it nevertheless can be projected and perceived as a bias. So you need to be careful with the phrasing of your questions. I know that's something that came up from the questions you posed from having read chapter 4 and interviewing. You put those into the discussion forum, some of you. And so, yeah, phrasing can really impact the type of answer that you get. So one solution to this is to reword, presenting to your interviewee nothing more than the facts that you understand to be true. And that's really important. And we know, we've talked about this already, that sometimes what you know to be true can change. Maybe something's just, it ends up being a rumor. Of course, you don't want the onus to be on you, okay? That you're, asking something that's really just based on a rumor. So you want to reword based only on the facts that you know to be true. And you can rephrase the question this way. Right now, 20 school districts in the country are trying this type of program. So that you know to be fact. Explain why more districts are not using this program. Can you see this as a growing trend? And so that is one way to handle that, and just stick to the facts. Okay. Another question: was there a similar program that sparked the idea for, bringing this one to our community? The problem with this, two things. First of all, it produces a yes or no answer. You ask the question, no, there wasn't, or yeah, there was. You run the risk of just getting a yes or no answer when you present a question like this. Plus the information, you already have it. The question, the way it's asked, doesn't demonstrate what you know. You already have the information from the handout, which is the presumed research that you've done. Okay. And you know that 20 schools are already trying it. So this question, again, doesn't demonstrate to the interviewee what the reporter already knows. So you can fix that by demonstrating what you do know. Show you're looking at the issue. And that builds credibility and trust with your interviewee. That was one of the other questions that we talked about earlier today. And rephrase the question like this. 20 school districts across the country are already testing this program. Did any one of those specifically spark your interest to bring the program here? And what are you learning from that? It's a good way to do it. And this kind of leads into that whole concept of solutions journalism. I think it was about 2 weeks ago, and I believe it was Hannah who brought it up. You brought up a question, and I said, you're about, a couple of weeks ahead of me, a few weeks ahead of me. Solutions journalism, in this case, would be talking with a superintendent, a principal, or a teacher, maybe even a parent in a community that already has a similar pilot program. And the whole point of that is to report to your community members on anything that works or doesn't, so that they can make educated decisions in their own community. Do I want to have my students attend one of these schools, try and get them in there, or do I want to keep them, where they are in the regular schools? Tell other people's stories, even if they're outside your community, when they can have relevance to your readers' needs to know what their needs are. And that just takes, thinking out of the box a little bit, going beyond the boundary of your community, and, always asking that question, where else might this issue be taking place? And it's not that hard to get in touch with people. It's really not. And, when you show you have an interest in someone else's experiences, they're willing to talk to you. And then I'm always happy to help you to facilitate the process of getting in touch with people, or guiding you to show you where you can go. So all you have to do is reach out and ask. So here's some questions that you can ask parents in one of those other districts where, this pilot program is taking place. How's the program working for you and your family? How are your children performing in school? Share with me any differences you see compared to children still attending regular schools. And if you notice here, the way that this question is phrased, here you have the question first, and then it ends on a statement. Share with me any differences you see compared to children still attending regular school. So here you're not asking. What you're doing is you are inviting that person into having a conversation with you. And that is how you get out of the stale Q&A, question, answer, and you facilitate that conversation. Sometimes you can ask the question first, and then make a statement that invites the interviewee to come into the conversation. It's really nice. It works beautifully when you do that. questions that you can ask the superintendent. What is the district seeing in test scores and academic performance? Has the program impacted government funding for the school? And what advice would you offer to other districts and families and communities that are looking to start similar programs? So these are just examples of questions that you can ask to people elsewhere, and then use that in your reporting to enlighten your readers, educate them, teach them. That's what we do as journalists, is we inform them so they can make educated decisions. And that's really all that I wanted to share with you, just those examples. I hope you find it helpful. And I would suggest trying an activity just for your own benefit. When you get the homeworks back on Thursday, which I'm going to give you, you should have them by now, depending on when you watch this video, take a look at the questions that you wrote and measure them against some of the examples here. And try and rework some of them. There are no points involved, but in a way there are, because when you get out there, you're going to be doing it very soon, and asking people questions for stories that you're going to have to write, if you can start to practice a little bit to formulate questions, you'll have better questions when you actually get out there, and you'll have better responses, and you'll have better stories, and that will help you to maximize the number of points that you get on those stories that are worth 100 points. So just something that you can do on your own. And if you do that, and you want me to take a look at some before and after, make an appointment, bring it to my office, let's look at them together, and get you on your way. And yeah, anyway, that's it. That's all I wanted to share with you. Depending on when you watch this video, have a great Wednesday, or have a great Thursday, or a great weekend, and reach out to me with any questions. I am here to help you. Good night, everybody. It's 11:30. I'm going to bed.